Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste. Welcome to our weekend with wisdom session. Let us begin this session with a prayer. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. We have with us Brahmachari Anand Chaitanya ji joining us from Chinmaya Mission, Chennai. Hari Om Anand ji, thank you for joining us.
Hari Om, Namaskar.
He will be speaking on the topic Spirituality Simplified, Inner Transformation through Vision and Action. This two-part talk series is an overview of spiritual principles in the life of a seeker that brings the wisdom of Vedanta in a simple and relatable way through metaphors and analogies. The aim is to emphasize the synergy of vision and action for inner transformation. Before we begin our session, I would like to give a brief introduction to Anand ji. A soft-spoken and popular leader among the youth, Anand ji, as he is fondly known, currently resides in Chinmaya Mission, Chennai. Brahmachari Anand Chaitanya ji currently holds the position of All India Chinmaya Yuva Kendra National Council member. Chinmaya Yuva Kendra is the youth wing of Chinmaya Mission. Brahmachari Anand Chaitanya ji also holds the distinction of conducting over 100 workshops in different states, across schools, colleges, corporate offices, etc., on transforming Indians to transform India, and created a movement in the course of self-transformation to achieve national transformation. Over the years, Brahmachari Anand ji has traveled to a few countries to give talks on Vedanta and has conducted several workshops. He is an admirable speaker and delivers talks in English and Malayalam. Before I request Anand ji to begin, I request the viewers to post your questions in the Q&A box, and towards the end of the session, Anand ji will be taking some of your questions. So thank you. Now I request Anand ji to take over the session and begin. Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you, Sri Hari. Thank you. Hari Om. Namaskar to everyone. Welcome. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam, Namami Chinmayam Devam, Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram, Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Namaskar once again, Hari Om. Thank you for inviting me to Indica Moksha Talk, Weekend Wisdom. Hope you're all healthy, fine, happy. Let's, next 1 hour, today and tomorrow 10 to 11, again, we'll be discussing this topic, Spirituality Simplified. It's very simple. Actually, the topic is simple. But some of the most simple things are the difficult things to grasp and perceive. Why it is so? It is like that. What to do? Because we are influenced, our mind is influenced, prejudiced. So simple things will be difficult. But we'll be sincerely attempting to understand what exactly is the search or the seeking in spirituality being. Since this is not a new topic for especially people, those who have got this keen interest, you would have certainly heard the points what I am going to discuss before. So then that would serve as a reminder. And for the new people, I hope it will help them to understand spirituality better, themselves better. So let's start discussing this. So let me start with a story. There were some underwater creatures living under the waters of a river. But the way they were living, they were holding on to some objects, some rocks or some plant. They cannot leave their grip from that objects, whatever to which they are holding on to. And the generation after generation, they were living like that. How do they live? They interact, they do, but they need to hold on to something tightly. And they are scared that if they leave their grip from the small stones or under the riverbed plants, then they are scared that the waters may take them and crush them, or they may get hit on some object and they may perish. And they said that you should not leave, you should always be like that, living, then you can live happily. One day, one young creature from that, he shared his thought to the other one, was next to him. He said, why don't we drop and see what happens if I drop and see? And see, let us see where the waters will take us. And at the same time, let's see what is there above these water currents. Let's see. So immediately the other creature said, what are you saying? You should not do that. You will be perished and you will die forever. Then there is no escape after that. So he kept quiet. His quest, for the time being, it got reduced. But again, after a while, he shared his urge to the other person. He said, let us drop and see how it is. Again, the same replay came. But when it happened again, when that desire came to him again, next time he did not share that. He just dropped his grip from the stone. Certainly that waters took him and got smashed on the rocks. But in and through all that happening, he was trying to go up and up and up. He was using all his will and efforts to go up. And finally, he succeeded. He went beyond the waters on the underwater currents, and he went above, where there is no rapid flow of waters. And he was so free to go anywhere, free to see everyone. So from the top, he cried out to the people there down below, said, you just leave, put effort, come up, you'll be so free, you'll be free. And this is where we need to be. So all of them looked up. His own fellow beings looked up and looked up to him. And he said, see, there is a Mahatma has come. There is a Mahatma. There is a prophet. So Mahatma. They all made him a Mahatma. But he became a Mahatma. He became a Mahatma out of his effort and will. But all of them terms saying that he's a Mahatma. They put him in a category of Mahatma, great men, where they are very different from it. But he was one among them. By the right will and effort, he went up to the freedom. So why we said, as we shared this story, I read this story in one of the books and I really liked it because so much of freedom, so much of peace, so much of happiness, it's our privilege to experience that, all of us. But sometimes when we spend time here, like in the form of life, but the major amount of time, how we spend, if you see, I remember what Yudhishthira said to Yaksha in Mahabharata. In one of the questions in Yaksha Prashna, Yudhishthira answers to Yaksha that people live here as if they are never going to die. People die here as if they have never lived. So much of freedom, so much of peace, happiness, calmness, harmony we can experience within ourselves, within everything outside. But sometimes when we live, when we see how we live, and we say that there is something, some adjustments need to be done, some fine tuning needs to be done. And there, the spirituality, the knowledge, this vision, the practices, all of us help us. And you know that the followers of Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism, Bharatiyas, we all have had this wisdom, we all have it. As part of our culture itself, we all knew the foundations of this living, the way of living, or certain views on which how we have to lead our way of life. We knew this. But as in the path of progress and development, it's only one thing we need to make sure that we are achieving, we are pursuing everything with a solid understanding about ourselves, about the nature of the world and the nature of the truth. With this, if we follow, we pursue, we will be celebrating life, because we'll be dealing with life with a lot of freedom, happiness, and happiness. So today, since the topic is spirituality simplified, I was just thinking, how do we convey the whole idea in the most simple way? Then I remembered how my guru, Swami Chinmayananji, in late 60s, how he came up with a chart called Bmi Chart. And he represented a person, like whatever the person is, like who you are, who I am, a person, into this chart. So the entire spirituality can be discussed based on chart, which is called Bmi Chart. Certainly it is not body mass index, it is body, mind, intellect chart. So I thought, let us discuss the Bmi chart today and understand ourselves better. So today we are going to see this Bmi chart. Then based on that, we shall be discussing the goal of lives, or the pursuit of how do we reach out to that eternal freedom. We'll connect to the chart and we'll discuss. So let me share this chart with you. Every one of us listening to this talk is an experiencer. So life is a series of experience. Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji has said, one experience after another experience, and it's a series of experience from birth to death. But how, as an experiencer, how do I gain an experience? I use three equipment to gather the experience. This moment also, I am using it, you are also using it. And these three equipment are called body, mind, and intellect. In Sanskritam, it is called as Upadhi. So these three helps me to gain an experience. And B represents for body, mind is for M is for mind, and I is for intellect. Body is the physical body, the gross body. And we call this in Sanskritam as Thula Shariram, gross body. What is gross body? People can see my body, they can perceive my body. So since it is available for their perception, it is come under the category of gross or sthulam. Mind is subtle, sukshmam, because they cannot see, but it still exists. Yeah, intellect is little more subtle, sukshmam, and I use it for my decisions and analysis. So let us discuss a little bit more about the body BMI, then we will go to the next part of the chart. So the physical body, we all know it's made up of 5 elements, 5 gross elements, which we call it as Panchabhuta. It has come to existence one point of time, and it undergoes change, and one point of time it goes back to the 5 elements. We all know this. So they say Shadvikaravat, Tattva Bodha says Shadvikaravat. It has got 6 modifications. Body has. It exists in the womb, then it comes out, it gets born, then it grows, then the growth gets matured, then it starts decaying, and one point of time it loses its form and it goes back to the cause of it, which is 5 elements. So these 6 modifications, whatever size of the body we have, whatever shape or color we have, these 6 modifications, all the bodies undergo. This is called gross body, and it has come, we have got this equipment through the results of our good actions in the past. Okay. So this is one of my equipment, one of my instrument I use to gather my experience. And the precise role of this equipment is, it serves as a counter for the experience to happen. It just passes the experience within, it allows the experience to happen, to go inside or to send a response outside. So it serves as a counter. Ayatanam. But when I say it houses or it is a counter, we have to understand that it houses something very beautiful inside. It serves as a kshetram. In the kshetram, there is something very beautiful inside, which is the kshetrajna or the Lord. Like that, this body, it houses that experiencer who is so beautiful. Really, his experiencer, we'll discuss, but it houses that experience. This is the physical body, which we call it as gross body or sthula shariram. All of us have it. And we know that different species have got different gross bodies. And again, every body has got this 6 modifications, what we discussed. So I know my body, I'm aware about my body, my sthula shariram. The next is the sukshma shariram, which is my mind and intellect together, called sukshma shariram. Why? Because it is a little more subtle. It is more pervasive, and we cannot see the thoughts with our naked eye. So it's called sthulam. Now, let's go deep into the mind and intellect. Mind is nothing but flow of thoughts. Continuously thoughts, when we flow, we call it as mind. And every thought, we know that I feel that it is, there is I aspect of it. And I feel an emotion also with the thought in different degrees. So the mind aspect is the seat of emotion, seat of feelings. Of course, it is thoughts, but it is the seat of feelings. When we feel, when we know our emotions, we know that it is the mind realm. And the intellect is the power by which, among the thoughts, we use a power, subtle power, to judge, to discriminate, to analyze. We use to apply a choice. We use intellect. We call it as buddhi. So it's a subtle power again. We use for our choice. We have used this and we have come here for the talk. We are attending the talk. We have been using this, and we have different ambitions, desires. Everything gets manifested on the buddhi, on the intellect. Because it is in the buddhi we know that, okay, let me go somewhere, let me do something. It is in the buddhi. And then once that happens, then all the thoughts happens in the mind. We start planning again with the intellect, and we do actions with using our physical body. So this mind and intellect is actually subtle body. So we have sthula shariram, we have sukshma shariram. So the definition of the mind is the flow of thoughts. The intellect is the faculty or capacity by which we choose a particular thought, is the buddhi intellect, or mati we say in Sanskrit, a buddhi. So this is sukshma shariram. Now, this is also made up of matter, but the matter which is in the nascent form, which is in the tanmatra form, in the subtle form, but this is also matter. Okay, sukshma shariram, mind and intellect is also matter, which is, but the matter is in the subtle form. Okay. So sthula shariram, sukshma shariram, these 3 we use and we gather experience from the world outside. We have been using. And this mind and intellect, of course, when we are in the sleep, it gets unfolded for some time. It gets folded to some time. It becomes unmanifest for some time. And when we wake up, it comes back and connects to the world outside. And in this Sukshma Sharira, mind and intellect, there are the powers to perceive all that senses. The powers is also reside in this Sukshma Sharira. Okay. So we have these three equipment: body, mind, and intellect. And these three we use and we connect to the world, we experience the world, we become the experiencer, and we lead our lifetime here. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. When I use the body, mind, and intellect, I get an identity called perceiver, feeler, thinker. When I use my body, when I perceive objects, I become a perceiver. When I feel my emotions, I become the feeler. When I think using my intellect, I become the thinker. This is an identity we all have, all of us. I am listening. When I say I am tall, that is with respect to my body. When I say I feel so excited now, with respect to my emotions. I have an idea when I say that is with respect to my intellect. So I become a thinker, I become a feeler, I become a perceiver. The experiencer has become the perceiver, feeler, thinker. That becomes my identity. But the range of experiences, like it can be anything. I can feel confident because I feel that my intellect, I am great and I have wonderful ideas. I can be very low in my mind because my emotions are actually not in tune with my inner nature. So I may say that I'm emotionally very bad. No one loves me. I am so terrible now with respect to emotions. And with respect to body, my identity can be like I am good looking, I am short, I am tall, I am dark, I am fair, everything with respect to the body. But everything the experiencers say that I am. Please note this point. What the experiencer says, I am this, I am terrible, I am anxious, I am thinking. This is the identity. You see, all our experiences, we term like this, no? Yes or no? We go to the temple, we pray, and we come out and say, oh, I'm so peaceful now. Who's that? The experiencer is saying, I had a nice experience, and I'm fine now. This is our story. This is an identity which we get. Okay, but where do we get this experience? What are the fields? Because experiencer is there as PFT, perceiver, feeler, thinker. The experiencer gains experience using body, mind, and intellect. These are the different equipments. What is the field? What are the fields in which, from where we gain the experience? That is objects, emotions, thoughts. Now, please know, all of you are my objects now. Why? Because everything what I experience, the laptop which is there in front of me, the fan and everything, the sunlight, everything is come under the category of object. And not only that, the experiencer gains from the realm of emotions also. That is also, again, a field. I experience an emotion, then I say, I am like this. So the experiencer gains an experience from the field of OET, objects, emotions, thoughts. Is it not so simple? That's why we kept it as spirituality simplified, and we're extremely grateful to Swamiji because Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji brought this chart out. I could actually, when I started learning spirituality, the earlier text, the Bhagavad Gita and all, this chart helped me a lot because I could understand about identity, the real identity, and actually perceiver, feeler, thinker is the real identity. We'll discuss that. But all those things became clear because we could segregate, we could classify things according to a chart. So what did we say? The experiencer, I am gaining an experience now of listening, understanding everything using my body, mind, and intellect in the field of OET, objects, emotions, and thoughts. But there has to be some cause for something. No? If body is there, mind and intellect, there has to be a cause. So there's a causal body from which the subtle body comes. And that causal body, the cause for the thoughts, the cause for desires is actually the causal body, Karana Shariram, and that is V, Vasanas. Vasana actually means fragrance. Fragrance is leftover of something. Let us say I eat jackfruit. I cut a jackfruit and it's a very ripened jackfruit and I eat. After that eating, after that cutting, what remains in my hand is the vasana, is the fragrance of the jackfruit that came because of the action which I did before. So when I do an action with an identity of I am perceiver, feeler, thinker, I repeat, when I do an action with this, I am the perceiver, feeler, thinker. I may not be very consciously aware about it, but it is there in my mind. I do. I go through. I suffer. I am excited. With this attitude, when I perform an action, those actions leave a mark or an impression in my mind. That is called vasana. It stays there. And it doesn't simply stay there. It serves as the cause for the thoughts and desires again. So the desires are actually comes from the past impressions of our actions, or impressions of our past actions are the desires. So Swamiji said, whatever is taking you from the study table to the cinema theater is vasana. to the teenagers he was addressing. Now we can say that whatever is taking us from our work to OTT platform, meaning I'm doing something, but suddenly a thought comes, oh, let me watch a movie. We are not talking about the moral side of it, okay, good or right. We are not talking that. We are saying, what is that mechanism which actually brings a desire in me and pushes me into the thoughts and actions, and finally I end up in action. And again, an impression can be gained. What is that mechanism? That is this vasana, karana shariram. So we discussed about sthula shariram, which is the outermost, the physical body by which we do actions, which is made up of 5 matters, 5 elements, and which serves as a counter. It houses an experience. And we said about sthula shariram, that is the actual experiencer. Okay, but with an identity, no doubt about it, mind and intellect. And mind is again so constantly flowing, fluctuating. But from that, when we fix a thought, when we decide something, we are using this faculty called intellect, buddhi. These two together known as sthula sharir, sukshma shariram. In the sukshma shariram, only the power to see, touch, hear, taste, everything resides in that. Even though there is a part in our physical body by which we allow things inside, meaning my physical eye brings the light inside, but actual seeing happens in the mind's sukshma sharira. Then the cause, karana shariram, is also there. We discussed as vasanas. Okay, but all these things are matter. All these things are insentient. If everything has to function, life must flow through it. It should get sentiency. It should get life. Everything comes into play. I become a beautiful individual or experiencer only when the life passes through me, or the touch of life is expressing through the body, mind, and intellect. Then only everything functions. And we call this as divinity, touch of life, spark of life, Atman. And when that, imagine there is electricity flowing through an instrument, let us say a bulb, a LED bulb. And when electricity passes through that LED bulb, the bulb serves its purpose as a bulb. It gives light to us, and everything makes sense only when the power, electricity comes there. It is stored electricity or live electricity, whichever it is. If this is the case, this divinity, because of the divinity, we become sentient, we move around. But what are our claims? we so much of claim we do, and we completely discredit, or if we don't recognize the main source by which everything is happening, then we are in a false realm. Okay, we'll go to that topic. We will be discussing that in detail tomorrow. But let's go a little more deep into it. It is that life which flows through the body, mind, and intellect. I become the perceiver, feeler, thinker. I get an identity, perceiver, feeler, thinker, and I go around to the objects, emotions, thoughts, and I gather different experiences. And everyone is trying to do that. We all have different experiences. We connect to each other, and we have these experiences subjectively. Okay, so there is one, I am subject, and there is objects. With objects are emotions, thoughts, and the actual objects. These are all realm of objects, and I am the subject, which is the experience. Now, let me introduce a theory from Vedanta, which is called Pratibimbavada. I'm sure that you have heard a lot of talks. Indica Moksha is organizing, a lot of speakers have come, and I am sure some of you would have heard this idea, this particular example. Let me share that with you, something called Pratibimbavada. It's a reflection theory. What is that? When we keep a bucket of water under the sun, and the sun gets reflected in the bucket of water, and that reflection also will look like as the sun. And the steadiness of the reflection depends upon how steady the water in the bucket is, how clear the water in the bucket is. And there is no doubt the physical bucket which is holding the water, and that in that water, the reflection happens. Like that, when the divinity passes through the body, mind, and intellect, an individuality, a reflection of the self, of the divinity which we discussed as Om. That Om, the reflection of that happens. Why? Because the self is passing through the self, the divinity, the Om, what is represented in the chart, flows or expresses through the body, mind, and intellect. This reflection called perceiver, feeler, thinker comes. So what are you trying to say? It is only a reflection. It's not the real I. No, it is the I. I experience. I know. I see. I go through the trouble, but it is a reflection. That's what Shastras, and that's what the great Mahatmas who had and who have this anubhava, they say that I, you are saying no, that I am like this. I am tall. I am fat. I am worried. I am anxiety. I am so intelligent. All that I is there. But that I is, in our Tamil language, we say kuti I. Kuti I is a small I. Why? Because it's get limited by its own experiences in terms of worry, in terms of tension, even if it is in terms of joy and happiness, but little happens. There is uncomparable outside happiness outside, unlimited happiness outside. How that little creature dropped the grip from the stones, struggled and went beyond. A lot of freedom was there. How that creature experienced the freedom, happiness, like that, we in our real I, Periya I, Periya I means big I, Bada I, we have unlimited happiness. If Mahatmas, the Gurus, our Gurus have not experienced this, we would not have got any idea or confidence to walk this path. But they said, no, it is like that. The person who is suffering, worrying, actually the real person is that which is indicated as Om. And that is the goal of life. We come here to achieve something, goals in life, because someone wants to be a scientist, someone wants to be a doctor, or other person an engineer, or a cricket player. Everything is goals in life, but the goal of life is to have the real identity. I tell you, we are so lucky and grateful, we have to say, that we are born in this land, because the Mahatmas, they have experienced this, and they did not sit quietly there with that experience. They struggled themselves coming to this world, meaning coming down to our level of consciousness. And they said that, why are you suffering? Understand this and have that necessary attitude to do the action and gain your own real identity, which is that Periya I am sure all of you would have heard Swami Ramana Maharshi, Pujya Ramana Maharshi says, no? He says, you ask a question, he'll ask, who is asking this question? Who is this I? Yes, sir. He's taking you there to ask and to there. To accept this idea is the beginning of the faith. Let us say we strongly believe, approve the words of Mahatmas and scriptures or gurus. Yeah, I know, even though I have not experienced, I buy this idea, I accept this. That is the beginning of it, of the path. So these goals in life we have to achieve, because that is there in us as vasanas, as desires. What is wrong in that? A person wants to become a doctor and to serve. What is wrong in it? It's a desire. But how a person is serving or fulfilling the goal of being a doctor, for example, is important, because there is what the wisdom lies. But one more point, with that pursuit, that should help me to reach my real identity. The goals in life, the pursuit of goals in life should actually take me closer to the goal of life. Then I am living a good life. I'm living a dharmic life. I'm evolving. So anybody, whoever has born any part of the world, geographical area, there are four things, four purusharthas, four things the person knowingly or unknowingly trying to achieve, four aspects. Four, we can call it as four demands are there. What is that? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Everyone has got physical demands to be met. Like we all want food, shelter, and everything which is connected to our physical body. The demands are there in us. Yeah. And artha helps us to gain that. So no. Because if we have that, if we have something which has got transaction value to get this, and we build up and we meet our physical demand. And there are psychological demands in each one of us, and which we categorized as kama. And these demands also we need to meet, because if we don't meet that demands, and we will be a miserable being psychologically. But again, how we are fulfilling this artha and kama is important. And that has to be with a strong foundation of dharma, with the values, with right attitude. And that dharma which we use to gain the goals in life, which is artha and kama. And that dharma which we gain through that will help us to go to the moksha, which is the ultimate purushartha, which is the fourth purushartha, which is given as indica moksha here. No? That moksha stands for it, that liberation, which is a purushartha which all of us have got that urge in us. We recognize it or not different, but we have other demands which we said as artha and kama, which is goals in life. But this is the goal of life, which is knowing my true nature, that big I, which is unlimited happiness and peace. So, to discuss little more about the Atman, so obviously this question will come. If I am, my identity is not just limited with perceiver, feeler, thinker, or experiencer. If my real identity is the Om, which is represented in the chart, what is it all about? How is it? This question will come for all of you, for all of us. It will come, because anybody who sincerely try to study Upanishads or Gita or any Prakarana Granthas, introductory text, this question will come. Then what is my nature? How am I? How is that existence? So Acharya Ji, Shankaracharya Ji says it is Satchidananda Swarupa San. Satchidananda Swarupa is its nature. Means it is pure existence, pure consciousness, and pure bliss is that Om. Okay, what is that? The body is existing, the subtle body is also existing, but it's all existing as name and form for some time because it undergoes change. But if there is an existence without changeless, which is changeless, which is existing as it is in the past and present and the future, without any change, it is existing. Without any object, it is existing. That objectless existence is Om, Atman. If I see an object in front of me, let's say a watch is there in front of me, I see it's an object, it's existing, but this object is existing, but its existence is limited with the watch is concerned, it is with the form. So I give a name to it. After some time, this watch may disappear. The form may disappear. But existence gives existence to this object. That pure existence, which we can call it as objectless existence, is the self. Means I don't have to exist as a body or as a miserable person. These are all existences with respect to something. This is pure existence. And that same existence is consciousness also, because I am aware. I am aware. I am knowing all that emotions, thoughts, and everything in the light of awareness. So that existence must be consciousness or awareness also. Is it not? I say that, okay, I know this object. First I know about myself that I am existing. Then I recognize outside things. But at the same time, I am aware about the other things also. So I am there, one, then I am aware. When all these are without any object, in the purest form, that is Om. We'll understand this little more. We understand what the definition of thought is. What is thought? How can we define thought? We define mind as flow of thoughts. But how do we define thought? Thought is nothing but object plus awareness. Any object. So let us say if I see Sri Hari's picture in my screen, the object of my thought is his image. And my awareness, which I said that as Chit, it illumines that, then I come to know that he is there in front of me. Of course, senses, mind, intellect, everything is playing a role in it, but it is the consciousness, awareness in me gives that fundamental thing called knowledge, awareness, illumining. How I see whether I like Sri Hari, I don't like Sri Hari, that depends upon the perceiver, feeler, thinker's quality. But the very illumining factor I see him is because awareness illumines the object. I know this I am saying in a continuity very fast, like one by time, one followed by other. It needs to be thought. I sincerely express that I have thought about it in different sides. Then by the grace of the Mahatmas and the Gurus, I could understand, okay, this is how it functions. So if somebody is listening new to this, I know it will prompt a lot of questions. But we need to continue the urge to understand because this is what we need to do. Okay, so the object gets illumined by the awareness, and that awareness without any objects in my mind in its purest form is called Chit. And Sat Chit Ananda is the nature of Om, which is represented there, and that is the real I. And see, everything goes back to its natural state. Yes or no? Everything goes back to the natural state. We all want happiness. All of us want happiness, and we want to be, if we are unhappy, if we are a little disturbed, immediately we want to be quite serene, and we want, so that naturally we want to go to the happiness. So that also shows that the nature, the real nature of us is happiness. Why? We naturally want, we don't have to, someone, no need of someone coming and telling that you have to be happy, you know. Even though somebody is telling, naturally I want to be happy. So that means what? It's my nature. So Sat Chit Ananda is the nature of Om. We call it as Swarupa of Om, which is the self. My real nature is this. But when I, the life, the divinity, expresses through the body, mind, and intellect, a reflection comes. How in the waters a reflection is formed, and this reflection is called Jiva, the perceiver, feeler, thinker, goes through different experiences, gathers different results of experiences, and live in this world. So if the Jiva, that experiencer, try to understand about life, with what attitude I should pursue my goals in life, what is my real nature, and develop Shraddha, faith in that, and develop a way of life, let us say a way of life, how the life is to be lived, the person certainly will reach the goal of life. This our gurus assure us. Okay. So this, in this chart, who I am really is represented as Om. From the perceiver, feeler, thinker, from the Jiva standpoint, that is the goal of life, to realize its real nature. And the different equipment I use to gather experience to live this world is called BMI, body, mind, and intellect. And I certainly need a field which is called Kshetram, OET, objects, emotions, and thoughts. And the cause for everything, Karana, is the Vasanas, which becomes the source as for a desire in the intellect, and for the thoughts, and for the actions. Now, question will come, how do we live so that there are no vasanas, no desires, and thoughts are very less? That is the discussion of Bhagavad Gita or any other scripture. Okay, we'll be taking up that topic tomorrow in detail. But little more, let me tell you about this particular chart, then we'll conclude. Now the question will come, obviously this question will come, if I am the real I am the unlimited I am that Satchit Ananda, which is Om, then how is it that I am an experiencer now? I am a Jiva. This question will come, yes or no? So the Shastras say, the power of vasanas are such, or the power of Karana Sharira is that it creates these two things. What is that? One, it covers our real nature. Second, it projects another aspect. It's called Avarana and Vikshepa. So what happens? Because of these vasanas, the real I, which is infinity, Satchit Ananda, Ananta means infinity. In terms of, I'm saying that subjective experience, okay, we cannot say even experience, but let us use that word. Subjectively, we are so unlimited quantity of happiness, unmeasurable. But because I am not knowing it, Avarana, the wheel is there, I get projected as the PFT, as the experiencer. Then comes all the fears, tensions, and everything, because that is the nature of this realm. So this Avarana and Vikshepa is there. In Gurudev's language, it is non-apprehension leads to misapprehension. Because I am not apprehending myself in the real nature, I get to misapprehend myself as the Jiva, as the perceiver, feeler, thinker, as the ego, or the individual who is going through different experiences of life. This we call it as, this power, call it as ignorance, avidya, or maya. Okay, with respect to the totality and with respect to the individual, we use different names, but the function of this is Avarana and Vikshepa. Who created this Avarana Vikshepa? Nobody created it. It was there. Some Anadi time onwards. It is also beyond time. It was there. Why these all things happened? Why this reflection? And why am I suffering? This question is, finally we say that there is a big game plays going on. Yeah. Now, these are all Anadi. Now let us think, this is how we are. Now we understood about ourselves, who I am in this chart. So how do I go beyond this ignorance and realize my true nature? Or let us say, how do I experience that happiness which I deserve, which I am? How do I do it? How do I experience it? It's a question. So the ability, if this is in there in my mind, as like, imagine myself to be the Jiva, meaning the person who is going through the experiences. If that is my imagine, that is in my notion, only with knowledge we can identify or realize our true nature with the knowledge. So it's so important that in Shankaracharya in Atma Bodha text says that only by the knowledge one person can attain the freedom. Because it's realizing my true nature is spontaneous knowledge, where I know that I am not this, but I am this. That's knowledge. Can you give an example? Certainly, I'll give an example. Whatever I have understood helped me. We had a cricket match in our college, and it's a tournament. And finally, two colleges came into the finals. My college and our neighborhood was one college. But there is always some kind of competition with that college in everything, in all the cultural, sports, and everything. And they also came to finals. We also came to finals. And now both college students are looking forward to the match. And we play the match, and the finals are happening. First they batted, and we are chasing it. And in the last over, we need to take 7 runs to win. I am there. My friend, who is a captain, is also playing. Only 7 runs. I faced the first ball of the last over. I took 1 run and I gave him the strike. Our work is over. No, it is his work. Second ball, dot ball. Third ball, dot ball. So the tension is growing up. The fourth ball, my captain faced my co-batter, and he scored a boundary. 5 runs are there. 2 more runs, 2 more balls from 2 more balls. The fifth ball, dot ball again. Now the captain is facing the last ball. I am on the non-striker's end. 2 more runs are required. 1 to draw and the second run to win. He hit the ball. It didn't go to boundary. It was going towards the boundary. We ran. 1 run completed. Second run, I have reached the crease. The throw came from the fielder. I actually should have dived and reached the crease, but I did not pay that much of attention. I took it for granted. I thought, yeah, we have won. By the time my bat reached the line, the ball came and hit the stumps. I am out. We did not win the match. We could have easily won the match, and everybody was like, the captain, everyone was like, little more you should have. And people started looking at me in a different way. We could have won the match, and like that. I was like, slowly the tension and I should have done it. That was growing up. That is the time I listened one voice coming up. How long you will be sleeping? Come on, get up, go to the college. Then I understood. I woke up from my bed. My mother is calling. The entire thing was a dream. There is actually no cricket match. Actually no worries. I was happily lying there on my bed and I was dreaming the whole thing. And I came to my reality that it is my home. I got up and I went to the college. Without the example of dream and waking, will be very difficult to understand 2 planes of consciousness. One plane of consciousness, I was worrying. I was the cause for my whole worry. But when I woke up from one plane of consciousness, which is dream, to the other plane of consciousness, which is waking, I understood the status of the dream, and I understood all my worries, tensions were self-created. It doesn't have that kind of actual potential to keep me in worry. This I came to know only when I woke up from one plane of consciousness to the other plane of consciousness. Basically, I got the knowledge that I am not dreamer, I am the waker. So the waker's knowledge in me, the identity in me that I am the waker, made me understood what is the consciousness, the plane of consciousness in the dream. So this waking up to our real nature is a knowledge which we gain about our real identity as a waker, as an unlimited I, which is all pervading and everything. I come to know about the status of my jiva, perceiver, feeler, thinker, as a waker comes to know about the dream status. If you listen to Swami Chinmayananji's talks, in most of the talks, there will be example of waker and dreamer. Why? Because it's 2 planes of consciousness where I can know how free the waker is. I know the status of the dream, and I know that it is the knowledge of the waker, that I am the waker, no more dreamer, makes me understand the status of the dream. Are you telling that the whole world is like a dream? We are not going to that topic, that I am leaving to you. I am telling you, when you wake up from one identity to the another identity, especially we will, with knowledge, the knowledge happens to me. I woke up and I have that knowledge that my identity is waker, not dreamer. Then I become free. It really helps us. There is a lot we can discuss about the dream and waking and who created the objects in the dream, who were there, did I experience matter in the dream, all those things, let it be there. But now I woke up, my identity changed. I got the knowledge of the waker, that I am the waker, really helped me to know that I am the waker. I was never a dreamer. I was imagining myself to be a dreamer. Yeah. So the moment I am able to drop my lower identity and I am able to wake up, I understand who am I. So that real nature is mentioned here as Om there in the chart. And this chart helps us to understand the cause, how we function. Of course, we can discuss about with what attitude we should work and what is that spirit of functioning, everything we can discuss that we'll see tomorrow. Today, we have 4 more minutes. If any questions are there, if I know, based on what I have said, I am ready to share if you have questions. Otherwise, we can conclude. Over to Srihari.
Thank you so much, Anandji. It was a very interesting, insightful talk. If I have to say from my Kutti eye, it was a wonderful experience indeed. So there is one question in the Q&A box. Let me relay that to you. Can I say I am the dreamer and I am also the waker?
So let's say if you ask this question to the dreamer, the dreamer will say that I am the dreamer, I am the wake. Okay, the dreamer will say I am. Even the dreamer knows I am the dreamer or not, I don't know. But certainly the dreamer cannot say that waker. We can tell, but the dreamer will not have that experience of the waker. If the dreamer has the experience of the waker, then there is no more dream for that person. Hope I answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you.
What is the difference between? Yeah, so the difference between the smaller I and the bigger I is in your question. The smaller I is the I which is only limited with the body, mind, and intellect, which is so limited. And the higher, bigger I is in everything, in everyone. And there is nothing existing apart from that anywhere. There is nothing existing apart from that anywhere means which owns everything. In my body, there will be different types of limbs are there. My hand is different, my nose is different, but everything put together is me. Yes, I am. I own everything. Like that, for the bigger I, for the realized person, for the self-realized person, or Atma Sakshatkaram, one who has gained, for that person, there is nothing existing separate that from that person. He has reached that state, Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma. So what is that bigger I? What is the size of it? Each one has to realize and see. That is that big without any objects. It's a big elephant, big basket, but no, big itself big. That is Brahman. Limited I, smaller I is everywhere. Whatever we come up and saying that I, with respect to the body, with respect to the emotions and thoughts, everything comes under the smaller I. The main difference is one is reflection, other is real. The question is, what is the difference? One is reflection, other is real. Because the pure consciousness reflects in the subtle body, and that reflection is the small I. So I kindly request to think a little bit about it. Then little more of study, Shastra study also will help.
Sure. Thank you, Anandji. There was one more question.
Yeah.
So, because of work, I'm not able to take up sadhana and apply my mind on japa. How do I go about this, and how do I focus on my sadhana as well?
I remember Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita was given to Arjuna, like Sri Krishna. And Arjuna is a person who is very, very busy in the work, like in the sense, who is so dynamic in the work. So if a person, because of the work, a person is not getting the time for the personal sadhana, which is japa and other things, of course, we need to find no excuse for it. But we need to sit for some time and prepare ourselves. And whatever we are doing, each one will be doing different roles. I actually don't know about the person who's asked this question, but I am sure that you will be son or a daughter or a father or a mother. Different personal roles will be there, and a professional role also will be there. When we work, what should be my attitude to work, which we'll be discussing tomorrow. Then what happens, that very work transforms us, that very work becomes sadhana to us, and that very work will take us there. In the end of chapter 14 of Bhagavad Gita, he says, Mamcha avyabhicharena bhaktiya. Anybody who is serving me with bhakti, serving me means doing work with the devotion. With devotion means with a higher purpose, seeing the very work as a higher thing, that person's for work will be a worship. Tomorrow we'll discuss more about that. But we need to find time for japa and our reflection, because that's very important for to prepare us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anand.
Thank you.
Dear
So
viewers, dear viewers, we will have the second part of the series tomorrow at the same time between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Anandji will be elaborating further on this topic, and those of you whose questions have not been addressed can seek your answers tomorrow as well. Thank you so much, Anandji, once again for such an elevating talk. I'm sure this was of immense benefit for our viewers, and we are looking forward to the session tomorrow. Thank you. So, with this, we conclude our session. If you have not registered for the session, your viewers, please do the needful. And I request all of you to follow us on Twitter and Facebook to receive frequent updates and links to more educational talks on Vedanta. We will meet again tomorrow. Shri Guru Namaha.